fam, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be creating a look with the BeBella Shades of Roses palette. So if you are interested in seeing how I created this look, go ahead and stay tuned. We're going to get into it right now. So today we are going to be playing with the BeBella Shades of Roses palette. I'm so excited that so many of you wanted to see a look with this palette. I felt really inspired when I saw the color story, and I cannot wait to tap into this palette today. So the Shades of Roses palette is one that I received in my Try Beauty box. It is a really beautiful color story. We've got a lot of mattes, shimmers, pressed glitters, I think. So we are going to create a fun, I believe, halo eye with this palette today. First, let's go ahead and check out some swatches. Looking at these swatches, and please forgive this hair, it will be coming down by the end of the video. We've got some mattes here. This shade's pretty unique. It's kind of similar to this gold shade down here. These are almost like glitters suspended in a, almost like a gel-like shadow. It's sort of wet to the touch, but not super wet, but almost like suspended in a gelish type formula. Then we have this one and this one that are like really thick, almost like, I guess these would be like metallics, like a creamy metallic. And then down here we have two pretty creamy shimmers. We've got like a champagne and a white. And these mattes, even the light mattes, swatched pretty well. I did need to build up some of the deeper mattes, but they weren't too patchy, which was nice. And then we've got this guy who's like a genuine pressed glitter. He's got like big and little glitter chunks in him, but he's pretty neat looking. I think we have 4 different shimmer formulas. 1, 2, 3, 4 with the pressed glitter. And then we've got the mattes. So overall, pretty neat little color story, and I love the variety of formulas. Okay, I'm gonna admit I'm a little bit nervous because these are not colors I play with all the time, but I do think I have a pretty cool idea in mind, so we are gonna try that today and hope it all goes well. So to start as a transition, I'm gonna go in with the shade Romance, which is this hot pink, little rose imprinted matte. And I'm gonna go in with a really light hand because I don't want this to be too intense. I want to build up intensity with some of the deeper berries and reds. I just want to kind of start our halo shape with this color. And I'm just starting it in the inner corner and building it up into my crease. And I'd say that that's laying down pretty nicely so far. Just giving us a nice rosy base. Again, tapping in really lightly, tapping my brush off kind of aggressively. I'm going to go to the outer corner and begin this little shape. And again, I don't want to go in too heavily because I don't want this to get too muddy. I want each shade to really kind of pop out, but I also want them to gradiate into one another. So I just want to kind of go in with a light hand at first with this hot pink. And just sort of create this kind of rounded shape. And just carrying that up and kind of over towards the center, which we'll leave blank for now. And when I'm tapping back in, I'm taking the littlest amount I can. I just want to have enough of this pigment to kind of take it more towards the center. I'm gonna catch the other eye up, move on to the next shade. So for our next shade, I was thinking about going in with Try Me, but I think Try Me is just slightly darker than our initial Romance shade. So I think I'm actually just going to tap right into Pleasure, and then we'll go in with Lust. But first Pleasure, I'm going to switch my brush to this little thin one. This one is by Japanesque. It's like a little tiny blender brush. I'm going to grab a little bit of Pleasure, which is this little guy. Again, we want to tap him off because these are intense. This shadow formula is so much better than I expected it to be. Honestly, I thought for a $12 palette, I wasn't really going in with the highest expectations, but These are really performing quite well. So again, we're gonna just focus this on the outer corner. We're gonna keep this pretty much just to the lid, barely bringing it up to the crease, just focusing this much lower. And we're gonna do the same thing on the inner corner. And just place this right on the lid. This shade doesn't seem to be, I'm gonna try not tapping it off. It doesn't seem to be showing up as well as I expected it to. Yeah, I think with this one, because we've already gone in with 2 other mattes, I think not tapping this shade off, especially because I don't have any foundation on, so there's not like really a fallout concern. I just didn't want this to get too intense, but I think this one, since we're building on 2 deeper red shades, kind of needs that little intensity. So I'm just gonna kind of fill that in on the bottom. And the same thing here with the outer corner. And then for our final matte, I'm gonna tap into Lust. And I'm gonna switch to this smaller little smudgy brush from Morphe. This is the M321. It's just the smallest dirty brush I had here on hand. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of Lust, this deepest plum purpley shade. And I'm not gonna tap off again based on what we saw with that other berry. And I just wanna put this right onto the lid. Keeping this kind of focused. See, I'm not pulling it all the way into the inner corner. I'm just kind of focusing on this front half of the lid. And I think that looks really neat. Okay. So again, not tapping off, just going directly onto the lid. Being careful to not go totally into my inner corner, but just to keep this right on the front part of my lid. And the same thing, not tapping off. Just going directly into the outer corner. I'm not digging my brush in, I'm just placing it in the shadow and lifting it back up. I'm not really digging into this matte because I don't want it to get too crazy, but I do want it to be deep. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back with my original brush that had some of the red and the pink on it. I'm just gonna kind of gently tap to blend. I don't want to really move these colors around too much, but I just want to kind of incorporate these shades into one another a bit. Just basically placing and lifting my brush, not smearing, not doing much, just kind of pouncing over these shades to kind of blend, but not to muddy the colors up, because I really do want this kind of gradation of roses. Just kind of tapping my brush. No additional pigment, just the residual that was already on the brush from prior. Now, I have 2 primers to choose between. We've got the NYX Glitter Primer, which is such a wonderful, dependable product. I adore this. And then we have the Alamar Primer, which is the Pero Primero Primer. This one is like the stickiest primer I have, and I'm thinking maybe with some of these glitters, like, is this the way to go? I'm not sure. Probably I'll go with the NYX, but let's go ahead and pick some shimmers out. So here are some shimmers. I think I'm leaning towards this rose gold shade for the center of the halo. And then maybe I want to dust a little bit of this gold glitter into the like upper crease, just to kind of extend that glittery awesomeness up into the halo. And then I think I want to try topping it maybe gently with this glitter. And then I think maybe the lower lash line I want to play with this shade. So let's jump into the rose gold shade first. I think I will go with my NYX glitter primer just because I trust this product so much. And let's hope for the best. So I just applied a little bit of my glitter glue to the tip of my finger, rubbed them together, and then just gently sort of tapped where you see the little spaces, the little halo spots. And now I'm gonna grab my little flat brush and I'm going to tap into Fantasy, which is the pretty rose gold shade. I may need to use my fingers for this, but we'll try with the brush first because I really do not like using my fingers to put on eyeshadow. It's just not my thing. So we're gonna see if we can make some progress with the brush. No shade if you love using your fingers for shimmers. I'm just so untalented with them. I feel like my fingers are so big and klutzy that I always end up getting it where I don't want it. So if you can do that, if you can apply shadow with your fingers, my hat's off to you, because that's so hard for me to do. Sometimes I'll go back after I've sort of carved things out, I'll go back with my finger where I can just kind of tap it and not worry about being as precise. I'll try to be precise with the brush and then kind of go back over with my finger, but hopefully I'll be able to build this up enough today with just the brush. So far, I have to say, I'm loving this palette a lot more than I expected I would. I definitely felt inspired by the color story, but I wasn't sure what the performance would be like for such an affordable palette. So far, I'm really liking it a lot. And I think that makes such a pretty halo. Wow. And I think this color story is like really unique and fun. I definitely have other berry palettes in my collection, but I like the colors that they chose to put with this one. It definitely gives me like a Glam Glow vibe a little bit. And I like Glam Glow a lot. Okay, so there's our rose gold. Then I think I want to take sort of the yellower gold. I'm gonna grab this like thinner, longer, flat shader brush from BH. See if I can pick up a little bit of this. I just want to kind of like pat the gold up into the top of the halo just to add a little bit more dimension and texture. I don't want to take over the rose gold. Just want to kind of give it a little bit of a playful confetti around it, if you will, with this gold glitter. It's kind of like around the edges of the halo with that little gold. I think that's so fun. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And this formula is so funky. It like moves around as I put my brush in it, like kind of shifts around in the pan. It's like just like almost like suspended in gel. It's not, it doesn't feel wet or anything. But it's nice because you don't have to worry about like glitter glue necessarily with this. I kind of put it down as a safety precaution because I don't want these little flakes flying in my eyeballs if I can help it. Definitely want to be careful with that because you can really hurt your eye. I'm not here trying to hurt my eyeball, but I do want to create a cool look with this palette, so we're going for it today. And that's kind of neat. Then this I will try using my finger for. I don't know how well it'll work, but I'm gonna tap a little bit into this glitter. And I just want to pat, 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 pat over those other shades that we laid down. That's pretty neat. Okay, so just tap, boop, and then pat, 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 pat over where we laid the glitter glue down in the other shimmers. That's really neat. Try one more little dip, because I think we missed some spots in there. It's like jewels. So pretty. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pop on some lashes. I think I'm gonna skip liner today just because I don't wanna mess up this look. I think I'm just gonna pop on some lashes. I'm gonna do the rest of my face and we're gonna come back and play with the lower lash line. So I'm back. I did my base makeup and cheek products using the items from my Shop My Stash project pan. I must say I completely forgot to go in with my blur primer, the Iconic Beauty Blur Stick, which has my pores not looking as good as they had been looking. This product makes a humongous difference. I really, really love it. But anyway, enough about that. Let's go ahead and work on the lower lash line. So I think for the lower lash, I know I want to play with the deep purple. Maybe I'll do that on the outer and inner areas of my lower lash. And then for the center, I did want to play with the Rose Tree shade as well. This pretty kind of reddish, but maybe today we won't do that. Maybe we'll do gold like we did on the top. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to go in first and I'm going to go very close to my lower lash line with this deep purple shade. Then I think I'm going to buff it out with the Pleasure shade. And then I think for the center, I'll pop this Darling shade. So I have my little brow brush here. It's the only flat shader I have on me. I'm just going to grab the angled side and I'm going to dip into the Lust shade. Pick up a little bit on my brush and I just want to focus this right up against the lash line on the outer corner and the inner corner, or inner lower lash. So then same thing on the other side. We're going to do the inner right up against the lower lash line. And we want to do the outer. Okay, then if I take my little Buffy brush, going to tap that into Pleasure, very gently, tap off, and I just want to blow this out a little bit. Not too crazy, just a little. Oh my gosh, why am I loving this so much? These are not shades I normally go for, but I'm loving it so much. And I mean, this palette is $12. For $12, we get like 5 formulas, very impactful shades, a matte formula that actually blends. This is definitely going way better than I thought it was going to. And then I think for the center of my lower lash, I'm gonna dip back into my little flat shader brush. I'm gonna grab some of this rose gold shade, and we're just gonna pop some in the center like we have on the upper lash. Now I do have glitter glue down on top, which is probably something that could be really good too on the lower lash line, but we're just gonna build it up. So pretty. Same thing on the other side. Yeah, I definitely think this goes on better over a glitter primer. But it does show up even over like regular concealed skin without a tacky base. It's really pretty. And then I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to grab a little bit of this gold just to add a little something special, hopefully. Just gently tapping. It's not going to be as impactful as we had on the upper lid because I don't have that sticky base, but I'm happy to report that at least it's still showing up. And then again, we'll just grab a little bit of this glitter and pat, pat, pat on top. And that is our lower lash line. So there's the eye look. I think it's really beautiful. $12. All right, BeBella, come through. I think this is super beautiful. So I'm gonna throw in some lower lash mascara, a lippy, take this hair out of this monstrosity. We're back for the final look. So here is the final look. I did go back and try to do my inner corner with these two shades. I didn't really care for the way they showed up. I did like this white shade for my brow highlight though. So I ended up just topping over what I did in the inner corner with a little bit of these glitters. So that's basically all that I did. And then for lips, I added these 3 products. I have my BeBella lip definer in the shade Smart, my Too Faced Melted Matte Metallic, liquid lipstick. This is in the shade I Want to Rock With You. And then I have Marc Jacobs gloss. The long hair struggle of sticking to your lip gloss is real. And then I have the Marc Jacobs gloss in Boom. And I think this look is really pretty. It's like a black cherry, kind of sultry, sexy, rosy look, I hope. I really like the way it turned out, and I have to say I am super impressed with this palette, especially for its price. I think it performed as well as some high-end palettes, even better than some high-end palettes. It's not the most luxurious formula, but it's still really beautiful, and it still applies like a high-end, I think, like a high-end product, personally. Super excited about it. I really like the way everything blended. I like the way the look turned out. I like the way that the pressed glitters worked even without a sticky primer. Not as well, like you see on the top. I think they stick way better to a sticky base. But I think even on the lower lash line, they were able to stick without any adhesive. So it's really exciting to try this product. I'm really happy that I got it in my Try Beauty box. I'm happy I was able to do this look for you guys. I hope it was inspiring and fun to see. And thank you so much for wanting to see a look with this palette. So I'm definitely really curious, what are your thoughts on the BeBella Shade of Roses shadow palette? I think it was really neat. I think the color story is really unique, and I love that this is an affordable option. I'm definitely curious if you guys are considering this palette more after seeing this video. I also wanted to point out for my neutral loving friends out there that you do have a lot of neutral options in here as well to play with. You could easily have done a similar look with these beigey shades. There's even a deep brown if you wanted to have a more smoky look. So I think this is really versatile and fun. I think it's beautiful for a Valentine's Day type look, but I also think it could be really beautiful for every day. Especially having like this lighter option, I think it could be really pretty for spring. Obviously flowers bloom in the spring, so this can take you easily from Valentine's Day into the spring season, which I think is also really cool. So I thank you all so much for being here with me today. I love you all so much, and until the next video, bye.